Hi guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're all having a spectacular day. And as always, autodidactic means to be self-educated, and in this world we all need to be self-educated because it is quite clear that the story they're telling us is a complete fabrication. And that's kind of what we're going to look into today. I've found some pictures from Australia from the 1880s, and they were published in a book called the Picturesque Atlas of Australasia. And yeah, I think that these pictures will kind of blow your mind because it gives a very different picture of Australia in the 1880s than what we are told. So let's jump into it. And before we get started, guys, just want to let you know we've started up a group on Mewe. And yeah, Dustin from Picturesque is giving me a lot of help, Muddy May as well. And there's lots of people on here. Michelle Gibson's on here. So what we're doing is trying to build up basically a research, as it says, research Tartaria. So just really a place where we can all come, we can post information, we can sort of comment on it and build on the knowledge and really start to sort of crack this code. So I'll leave the link below. Maybe it's like Facebook basically, but obviously not as censored. And it's got some good features, like it's got a chat, it's got a group chat, personal chat, and you can even leave audio messages, voice messages, if you don't want to type. And there's some cool stuff here, as you can see, some nice castles on islands, things sticking out of domes. This is all on what are they called? These basically light prisms that yeah, they were in grates that they send light down to underground levels with. So yeah, come and join the conversation. I'll leave the link. We also do have a group on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, I'll leave the link for the chat. There's a chat group here which is called Perth Tartaria, and again, people are posting some really good stuff on here, really good links. So yeah, if you want to get on that, if you're on Facebook, I'll leave the link. Join the conversation, because this is how we're going to sort this out. We all need to be involved. We all need to get on board and put our input in so we can really get this mystery of his story sorted out. And also a big thank you, guys, to everyone who supports this channel in whichever way you can, whether that be likes, comments, sharing, subscribing, and of course everyone who helps me by contributing to PayPal, Patreon, and buying merch from my store. And if you do want to support this channel and the work I do, there are links below in the description. Alrighty, let's jump into it. Alright guys, so here we are. This is just one website. I'll leave you the links for these. I've got a couple of websites here and then we'll go through some pics. So this says, for how many thousands of years the beautiful island of Tasmania had remained secluded from the rest of the world like a lost or an undiscovered paradise. And what remote epoch the first human beings drifted across the straits to find themselves the sole possessors of a realm more fair and fertile than that from which they had been wafted by accident or design. It's a quote by someone about Tasmania. And on this site there are a few pics here, a couple of interesting ones. I do have bigger versions of these though, but I'll leave this link and you can click on them and get a bit of a shot here. This one here is Launceston, Tasmania, John Street, in the 1880s. And this is not what we are told. Look at this place. It's completely built out. Again, what we call the Greco-Roman buildings here, parliamentary buildings, Antiquitech on the roof, big spires, columns, arched windows, and completely built out. Even the street lights, old world street lights, and just people in horse and buggy walking around all in the same clothes. as we find so often. So a few good pics on there. And another one I'll leave you is this Australia as it was in the 1880s. What was Australia like in the 1880s? The Australia that your great or great-great-grandparents lived in. You'll get a good idea by looking through the 1100 plus engravings that are in this incredible 3-volume set titled The Picturesque Atlas of Australia. So I might have to look for a copy of that. If anyone's got a copy, yeah, take some photos and let me know, because I've only got a small selection here, but they are some pretty good ones. Among the fascinating images, you will find street scenes, monuments, churches, hills, seasides, farms, horses, scrubs, country towns, ships, and the daily activities. Headstones, bridges, peoples, caves, aborigines, buildings, animals, and pioneering life. And on this one here, again, we get a few photos that you can go through and have a look at. But what I want to do now is just, let's go through and have a look at some of these pictures. So this is Adelaide, and this is Jubilee Hall in the 1880s. Whoops. That is. And as you can see, I mean, we've all seen this before. They've got the flags on the Antiquitech antennas. We've still got the, the iron railings that we see. Big dome with another dome, of course, on top. And just a huge, huge building. But what do we get? Just horses, horse and carts, unpaved roads, and people just standing around, all dressed the same, all got hats on, all these, what are they called, parasols, these like sun umbrellas. And as you can see, it's not just this building, we've got more out here in the background. We've got another big, old world Tartarian-like building there. We've got these power lines that we see everywhere, and there's actually a lot of evidence that these, I mean, this one here, you can see there's got no wires coming from it. And there's a lot of evidence that these were wireless. We do see a lot of them where they've strung wires across them, but maybe, I don't know, is that when they were bringing in paid electricity or something? Because no wires, guys. No wires. So that's Adelaide, 1880s. And just a quick history of Adelaide in Australia, because of course Australia is a fairly new country, so they tell us, and founded 1788 by Captain Cook, or so they say. And it says here that basically 1836, South Australia was proclaimed by Governor John Hindmarsh, 28th of December, at the Old Gum Tree in Glenelg. So 1836 was when they basically proclaimed they were going to start building there. Okay, so the pictures that we are looking at are 50 years, not even 50 years after they turned up, and the story is there was nothing there, nothing, no industry, just nothing, just bushland, and within 50 years they had that building like we just saw. This, within 50 years. And of course all these background buildings as well. This is King Street in Adelaide. This is Victoria Square, and again 1880s. Within 50 years of turning up to a desolate, place, not desolate, bushland, but no, they tell us no infrastructure at all, and within 50 years they had this. And I mean, just look at this. Not is it just all completely built out, but look at the buildings. They're big 2-3 story buildings with huge spires, as we see, Antiquitech, domes, all the stuff we see all over the world, and all here in Australia, supposedly built, within 50 years. And you've got to understand as well, there was no population here. No population. It was very small back, in 1836. You can imagine it was just, there weren't even convicts back then. The convicts started in the 1850s. So we're talking just, settlers, pioneers is what they tell us. And they come up with this. And just look how wide these streets are. This is marked as the first house in Brisbane. Australia. And this is Info Galactic again, Brisbane. And down here under history, they tell us basically 1823 is where Sir Thomas Brisbane instructed that a new northern penal settlement be developed. And an exploration party led by John Oaksley further explored Moreton Bay. And then basically 1824, 13th of September, under the command of Lieutenant Henry Miller, they walked in and settled with 14 soldiers, some wives and children, and 29 convicts. Or so they say. I'll have to check out the dates there because I didn't think they had convicts that early. But maybe that was Western Australia I'm thinking about. But there you go. So 1824. So what could they do in 60 years from walking into, an uninhabited place? Let's have a look. So from this, which is what we'd expect to see, by the way, if the story was correct, we would see a lot of these dwellings in the old photos. But we get this. This is Brisbane. Queen Street, corner of Edward Street in Brisbane in the 1880s. And it's the same old story. Got the old street lights. And again, I've mentioned this before. Where's the cables? Are these all gas lights? Is that what we're being supposed to believe? Because, underground electricity has to be running, if they're not gas. I've got electric trams. That's a tram up there. Horse and cart. Old world closed, and just, again, completely built out streets. So it's not like, it's one or two buildings. This place is built out, like, just completely. And that's just one street, too. This is Grafton. This is the courthouse. As you can see, nice boulevard, same stuff. We've even got these lintel sort of keystones that we see. Arched windows, Antiquitech, antennas, domes, the whole thing. Back in the 1880s. They build pretty fast, and like I said, you've got to understand this is from no industry, no industry at all. Like, where did they get all the industry, all the materials, all this kind of stuff? So this is Melbourne in the 1880s, and I mean, that's a completely built out city. Just look at that. I mean, is that not ridiculous? 1880s, and you can see just domes and spires everywhere. Big, Romanesque capital sort of building there. Huge cathedrals, spires in the background, and just built out until it fades away. And this is, we don't know, right? We're told this is a drawing. But when you look at the detail and the accuracy and everything, I mean, is it? And look at this. I mean, come on now. I'm not sure what that is. I'm thinking that's the exhibition building that they've got. I'm not sure. We've got a castle here in the background, a massive spire. Another castle here. I mean, just ridiculous. Look at the size of the buildings. And just these tiny little people with horse and cart. This again is Melbourne. This is Princess Bridge. And I mean, just look at how ornate it is. Look at this, all the railings and everything, street lights. And this is another thing we see, these street lights built into things like bridges, up on pedestals in bridges. And again, are we supposed to believe these are all gas lights? There's someone running around lighting gas. I mean, they'd have to be candle or gas, that's kept in the actual lamp. Otherwise, you need pipes running and wires and things. So where are they? Are they built into the bridge? We just, a lot of questions. But I mean, the biggest question is, this. 1880s, guys. 1880s. Melbourne was one of the first cities. So, around 1800s, I guess, early 1800s, they would have been, they would have found Victoria or Melbourne. Of course, like I said, 1788 was when Cook landed. So that was just 12 years before the year 1800. So even if it's 1800, we're looking at 80 years. And I mean, just look at how this bridge is built. I'm not sure, is this a train? Something like there's another tunnel, might just be a walkway. Just completely built out. I mean, look at all these spires. All with their Antiquitech on the top. Just, yeah, and look, man-made shorelines here, steps going up. You know, and you see this a lot on the Yarra River, like you do in Perth on the Swan, man-made edges to the river the whole way around. Now, who did that? I'm saying it's a canal. That's all these are star cities, is what I think, because they all have the same signs, the same architecture, the same infrastructure, you know, basic layout, and one of the features is man-made canals. So, you know, look at this. Within 80 years, guys, from nothing, no industry. You know, first of all, they had to make the industry to make the bricks and the concrete and everything. First, they had to find the clay. Then, you know, I mean, come on. And again, from no population, tiny population. And now we go to Sydney, and of course, Sydney is the first place they landed on the mainland. They did hit Tasmania first. So, but I mean, you know, even if we're talking 1788 from the get-go, 100 years from literally turning up in a wooden boat with a few supplies, few people. I think, you know, it's obviously a fleet of boats. But, you know, how many people and how many supplies and things can you get on? They tell us they brought horses along. And I've been thinking about that. I'm going to have a look into that and question that theory, because how could you have horses on a boat when it's like a 3-month plus journey? You know, what are they just going to stand still and not exercise? Is that possible? Bit of looking into, I think, because they were small boats too. But yeah, look at this build out. Look at this in the corner here. This huge, all columned up, capital type building, 4-story building here, completely symmetrical with a dome on top. And, you know, look down in the background here, we've got domes and things. Huge castle-like structure here. Look at the top of this. It's got a dome on it too. Just completely built out. Massive, massive statues, as we see everywhere. And, I mean, what have they done? This is the thing. With the statue, they don't really even need to change the look of it. They just need to change the name and the date, because we don't know what Captain Cook looked like. They could say anyone was Captain Cook or these other people. You know, they just tell us, yeah, that's them. We don't know. You know, it's like John Levo looked at Mount Rushmore recently and the faces, and he posed a question too. You know, who are these people? Because that's the thing. We're just told this stuff, and you know, there's no evidence backing it up. We can't tell. Oh yeah, that's definitely, you know, Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. We don't. It could be anyone. But yeah, completely built out in Sydney, 1880s. This is a church in Armadale in Sydney, and again, you know, look at this. It's all grown in. Looks, you know, sort of not on flat ground. How did they build this? You know, why are there no roads going to it? How did they get all the stuff in here? Because again, less than 80 years or 100 years max. Same features we see all over the world. And this is Darling Harbour in Sydney. And again, I mean, again, is this a drawing or a photo? Because, I mean, it's not the best contrast, but it's just, there's so much detail in it. You know, when you look at the front here, you know, huge bridge. I don't know what this boat's doing sitting through. This bridge doesn't quite make it across the river. But look at this, boats everywhere. But just, I mean, come on. Look at this. Huge, huge tower. And again, we have this, you know, sort of fractal geometry stacking, you know, with a dome, with a circle onto a square, onto a bigger square. Again here, massive dome, 2 big towers next to it, huge castle. Just, you know, just completely built out, completely. Just look at this here, this is 1, 2, 3, at least a 3-story massive brick building. Again, guys, where'd all the brick come from? We know these questions. What is going on here? This is Sydney Town Hall here, and this is St. Andrew's Cathedral in the background. And as you can see, even down here, there's more big buildings and domes. But yeah, look at this behemoth. Look at this tower. It's still going. That's the top of the picture. And just these familiar, shapes, or, whatever these are, capacitors, or still working on that. Because, yeah, there's definitely something that's antiquitech, definitely. And all this, here's a railing again, all the spires everywhere, domes, just everything. And this, just the way they build, like I said, it's like a round dome on top of a square, on top of another dome square, and then we've got triangles, columns, it comes out here, protrudes out, and then sort of steps back again. All these bits on the top, here again, it's just, what is this? All, all the symmetry. And of course, look at the ground level here. It's a mud flutter. Look at that. So you can see there's that much distance there, and not much there. And you can see these are disappearing, these doorways, and they've built stairs up to the second floor, or who knows what level floor. So yeah, this was all put together in less than 100 years by this is the tech. And I mean, are they in water? It looks like they're splashing around in water. Maybe it's supposed to mean dust. So, no paved roads. So how are they getting all the materials in there? And again, look at the intricacy of that picture. What do you reckon? Drawing or some kind of rendered photo? And this is Launceston in Tasmania from McGregor's Gardens. And here we have a nice functioning old world fountain. Of course, everyone in their old world garb, hats, it's always the same, isn't it? And look at this, just completely built out with big 2, 3, 4-story buildings the whole way around. And again, Tasmania was the first to be discovered, but that was 17. Well, actually, I don't know. It was the first one they discovered, but I think it was actually the second settled. I mean, they landed at Botany Bay in 1788, and then they went and settled Van Diemen's Land, as it was known, as the penal colony. So same thing, 100 years max, and they've done this. This is another view of Launceston. This one from Cataract Bridge. This is Cataract Bridge. And again, it's just, Launceston isn't the capital, Hobart's the capital. So it's not a big, it's still, there's not a big population in Tasmania still. I'm not sure what the population of Launceston is, probably 100,000 or so. We've got structures built out onto the water. We've got, 3-story brick buildings here. We've got big towers. Another tower in the background by the looks of it. And just pretty built out. Not to mention this nice suspension bridge here. Still in Tasmania. And just some more of the architecture. And again, look, we've got these old world street lamps up on their pedestals. No wires or, gas lines going to them. And look at the size of them compared to the people. Horse and buggy, yet we have, buildings like this. And again, we get this geometry thing, We still see this everywhere. These triangle, then, semicircle, triangle, semicircle, and squares on top. What does that all mean? And of course, it's all symmetrical to the pillars and everything. And just looking very much like a found town. I mean, look at it, just to get these light posts in, they're all, can't see anymore, but just look at those. Why would you go to that amount of effort if you're building a new, a new country, a new civilization or whatever from the ground up, starting with convicts as your workers, why would you go for something like this? and just built out all the way up the street. And this is Saint, what does it say? St. David's Church. And look at that one. Again, apart from the fact that it looks like every other, church or cathedral all over the earth, why would they build that? They don't even have the population to use it. This is an interesting shot. I just put this one in because there are lots of country shots in this book. This one is, I believe it's in Tasmania, but it's not the best contrast. But if you just look at that, what does that look like? I mean, look at these three pointy bits at the front. Got this, and even look at the top there. I don't know, what do you reckon? Kind of looks like an old building, doesn't it? Popping out of the top of as they do, out of the top of this big hill. So I just found that one interesting. This is Port Arthur, which is down in Tasmania. It was, we're told it was, a convict settlement, the first convict settlement in Australia, basically. And when you look at it, it's full again of these old world cathedral buildings. And yeah, right on the water, 3-4 story red brick buildings. And I found this one very interesting because we're looking at the 1880s here. And look at this, it's already derelict. So now they're trying to tell us it was, they got convicts there. They started building, early 1800s, built all these magnificent buildings. And then, yeah, within 80 years, they were all derelict, no windows, no roofs, just falling apart, as you do. And this, oh yeah, down the bottom here, check this out. Look at this, it says natural pavement, Port Arthur. What do they mean, natural pavement? That's clearly man-made. So is this what was already there, and they've uncovered it, and they're like, oh, that just must be a natural formation? Because that's not natural. Man-made paving. And here's natural pavement, Port Arthur. Right, so come on, the story gets sillier. This is Launceston again in Tasmania, John Street, I believe. And again, huge Romanesque building, not looking very level. Maybe that's just the fence, who knows. Huge spires, completely built out, and just horse and buggy cruising around. And this is Melbourne again, Melbourne Parliament House. And this is the Launceston Post Office. Again, Launceston, not even the capitals, small population, especially back in the 1880s, and look what they've built for a post office. I mean, come on, look at this. And of course, there's just, built out buildings everywhere. It's all oversized, not making sense at all. Got an old world bollard here, or two, twin pillars maybe, I don't know. Looking like a face, this, isn't it? And now we're going to go back and have a look at Victoria again, Victoria Parliament House. And look at this thing. I mean, come on, look at that. We've got the statues up the top here. Look at this dome. And just huge, I mean, look at the size of the people. Completely oversized. Look at all these street lights everywhere. Doors going under the stairs here. And just people walking around, horse and cart. And claiming to have built this within 80 years, along with everything else and all the industry you would need to create such a building. And this is Ballarat, Sturt Street in Ballarat. And Ballarat is a small town in Victoria, country Victoria. and it was a gold mining town. They say it's a place where they had the Eureka Stockade, where the Victorians stood up to the tyranny of government and refused to pay all their taxes. Also, the story goes. And here we have a completely built-out town. I'm not sure of the founding date of Ballarat. Okay, so here's a good story. This is Ballarat on Infogalactic, and prehistory and European settlement. It says, there was a few people there. 1837, William Cross Yule arrived and squatted on a 10,000 acre farm. First houses were built around that time, but basically nothing happened. So just a few farmers there in the late 1830s. And then by the 1850s, sort of 10, 12 years later, someone discovered gold there. The first publicised gold discovery was by Thomas Hiscock on the 2nd of August 1851. The find brought other prospectors to the area on 19th of August 1851. What? All the prospectors came on one day. There you go. This is precise information we're getting here. So yeah, 1851 is literally like they're saying when the people turned up all on one day, which is good because they could start building. But hang on, they were all digging for gold. So let's have a look at this picture. This says Sturt and Lydiard Streets, 1899. So this is the same place, the photo that I've got. And look at this, 1899. So we're talking, basically 40 years after people turned up to dig gold. We have this. I mean, look how built out this is. Ridiculous. And as I said, they're saying gold rush, so it would have had a big population while the gold rush was on, but now it's just a country town and just the usual suspects everywhere. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. So there you go. Lots of spires here. And here is the shot that we get. As you can see, same street. Here's that big building that we could see in the other photo. But this one shows that it's a lot more built out. And like I said, everyone was supposed to be, digging for gold for, the first 10 years or so. So who built all this stuff? Just back this one in, it's just the Victorian Telephone Exchange back in the 1880s. I just didn't realise that they had telephones back in the 1880s. So obviously they did. There you go, in Victoria. Alright, and I want to finish on this picture. Now this is not from the book we've been looking at. This is from the Archives Office of New South Wales. And as you can see, we're looking at a lot of old world buildings everywhere, antiquitech, domes. I mean, look at this monster. Look at this big Capitol House right on the water. Arches. I mean, the whole just, statues. I mean, look at this place. Big castle here. And look at this. Now, this picture, what it says is that this is, let's zoom in on that, the Federal City, Lake George, New South Wales, 1920. View from Governor, what does that say? I can't quite read that. Governor CC, blah, 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 something. So it's saying, down here it says Federal City, Lake George, New South Wales, and it says it's a view from there. So is it because this Lake George, there's nothing there now? There's nothing there. I've had a look, like it's just, it's a massive salt lake. And the story that goes along with this is that this is a drawing, a proposal of where to build the Australian capital. Of course, it ended up in Canberra. But the story behind this says it's just a drawing, someone's imagination. But what do you think? Is this, I mean, is it maybe mismarked? Was it somewhere else? Was it something that got, I don't know, because it looks, again, it looks like one of these pictures we get that is some kind of rendered photo rather than a drawing. And it's completely built out. Mud flutters and all. The same stuff we see everywhere. Look at that dome. And even out in the back, what do you reckon? And the thing is, this is supposed to be a proposal for the new, state, or the new Australian capital. So it's all about the government house, right? But what do? They don't show government house in this picture. Apparently, this is, the balcony of government house, but they're looking out here. So why would you do that? If you put in a proposal, wouldn't you be showing, well, hey, here's the seat of government? I mean, I don't know. This is a lot of questions. I'm just wondering if because it looks real to me. I'm wondering, is this actually like George? Is it somewhere else? Is it maybe, I don't know, an old picture that's somehow got through? Because it is just ridiculous. And if, it's not architectural at all. It's just, a drawing. And I've had a search. I couldn't find anything else really. No maps or anything, of this proposal. Just this amazing picture. So what do you think about this, guys? Leave me a comment. Do you think this is real? Do you have any information on this, on Lake George and the proposal for the first Australian capital city? If you do, please let me know. Drop it in the comments. And of course, leave me a like, guys. Share this content if you like it, and hit the bell if you want to be notified of all my uploads as they come up. So yeah, a bit of a walk through Australia in the 1880s, as we have not been told. It's clearly is a found civilization that was completely built out, and all that's happened is it looks like the Freemasonry people have come along and found some Freemasonry and stamped it, renovated it, refaced it with their face ads, and called it their own, and then brought populations in. That's what it looks like. What do you think? All right, guys, thank you for spending some time with me. Have a magnificent day, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.